The rematch between Oleksandr Usyk and Tyson Fury was one of the most anticipated fights of the year, and it certainly didn't disappoint. The boxing community was struggling to score this fight because of how closely matched this rematch was, so I felt like I needed to make a video on this. In this video, I'll be going over both boxers coming into the fight itself, the result, and where we go from here. Now, there's already a noticeable size difference between both fighters. Fury came into the first fight at 260 pounds, whilst Usyk came in at 223 pounds. Coming into the second fight, however, Fury came in at 281 pounds, which is the heaviest he's ever fought at. This puts the difference between Fury and Usyk at a ridiculous 60 pounds. It seems like Fury's team decided they should come in as big as possible to use the size to bully Usyk and break him down like they did against Wilder. It's crazy to me that Fury is able to be this big and still fit enough to box for dozens of rounds. Leading up to the fight, he was looking sharp during public training sessions and still had speed with his size. This fight was taking place in Riyadh, so of course the Saudis left no stone unturned with the production, turning the whole thing into a spectacle. I have to hand it to them because the ring walks for both fighters were beautiful to watch and actually kept me interested. Now, going into the fight itself, it started different to what I was expecting. The first round was a bit of a feeling out process where both fighters were pawing with their lead hands. This tends to happen in orthodox versus southpaw matchups because whoever has the more dominant lead hand is going to have an easier time getting their jab off. Fury was able to sneak some jabs past Usyk's lead hand, and this led him to steal that first round. In the second round, Fury seemed to understand his distance and started to land his jab more consistently. He also turned his jab into a hook and started landing jab hook combinations as well. Going into the third round, Fury was starting to have more success with his jab, doubling it up, and it seemed like Usyk was having problems dealing with that lead hand. It's long and has weight behind it, but it also has some speed because Fury's throwing it from his waist, turning it into a whip. Coming into the fourth round, Usyk seemed to come alive, bouncing in and out to tag Fury with quick combinations. He started using head movement to get under Fury's lead hand before throwing his backhand at Fury's body. This will be important for later. Fury would go back to his corner and his trainer, Sugar Hill Stewart, would instruct him to be more aggressive. Fury would come out in the fifth round with a high guard to absorb Usyk's punches and started walking him down. Once he was in range, he would start firing combinations to push Usyk back. He was also having success with the uppercut to the body because Usyk was ducking into it from trying to avoid the jab. Into the sixth round, the fight was competitive, but Fury had taken most of the earlier rounds and Usyk needed to start taking over. He started by bouncing in and out before coming in to fire combinations. Fury started to look sloppy at this point and it was clear he was starting to get tired. Usyk would then do the same thing he's done in the previous rounds. He would duck underneath the jab and it looked like he was about to throw his backhand at Fury's body, but at the last second he changed the trajectory and fired it at Fury's head. Fury was expecting the body shot, so of course this rattled him. The round would end and both fighters made it back to their corners. Coming into the seventh round, it was clear that Fury was still hurt and tired because he was sloppy with his movement and wasn't throwing his jab anymore. Usyk capitalized on this by engaging and landing combinations before getting back out again. The eighth round followed a similar pattern of Fury still being tired and Usyk capitalizing by keeping up the pressure to land his combinations. Fury would go back to his corner and Stewart would wake him up by telling him he's letting the fight go and he needs to be more aggressive. Fury came out in the ninth round with a second wind, throwing combinations and having success with his right hand. Usyk took the shots well and absorbed Fury's combinations with his high guard, and Fury seemed to deflate towards the end of the round. In the 10th round, Fury was running on fumes with no real output and occasionally throwing combinations. Usyk would take advantage of this by keeping up the pressure and landing quick combinations. The 11th round was one of Usyk's best rounds, with him having a lot of success getting inside and scoring with high volume combinations. Fury had absolutely nothing left at this point and was starting to stay still in front of Usyk and trying to clinch. Nevertheless, we saw Fury come back out again for the 12th round and he put up a good attempt, but it was clear he had nothing really left in his engine. Usyk was able to stay on top of him to finish the fight strong. The fight was much closer than I was expecting, with Fury starting out strong. His jab was sharp and his conditioning was much better than the first fight. I personally had it 7-5 to Usyk and would love to see another fight between them in the future. It's also crazy to me that the difference between them was almost 60 pounds. Credit to Usyk for being able to prove why he's the heavyweight champion of the world. A lot of people were saying that there could be a robbery in the rematch because Turkey himself had picked Fury to win, but the Saudis have been quite good with their judges, even though it would have been beneficial to have Fury win the rematch for a possible trilogy. With Usyk winning 2-0 against Fury, it's unlikely that these two will be fighting each other anytime soon. It's clear that the Saudis want a rematch between Usyk and Dubois, seeing as they let Dubois into the ring post-fight to talk. So it looks like these two will be facing off against each other in the near future. Their first fight was competitive, with Usyk knocking out Dubois in the 9th round, and since then Dubois has gone on to beating some top level guys like Jarrell, Big Baby Miller, Filip Hrgovic and Anthony Joshua for the IBF heavyweight title. If this fight doesn't take place, Usyk may vacate his titles and move back down to cruiserweight. He's always been small for heavyweight, so the move down wouldn't be out of the question. The cruiserweight division also has some new faces since Usyk left, with Jai holding the IBF title and Gilberto Ramirez being unified with the WBO and WBA titles. Usyk could easily throw his name back into the hat and go for undisputed at cruiserweight again. Of course, that leaves us with the question of what's next for Fury. If Usyk decides to hold onto the titles, it means that it's unlikely that Fury will win another world title for quite some time. He could end up facing Anthony Joshua for a money fight, and although neither of them are holding any world titles, it's a fight that the boxing world has been anticipating for some time, so people will watch it anyway. If Usyk decides to vacate his titles and move down, we could see Fury immediately fight for a vacant world title again in the near future. Of course, there's always the option that Fury may just retire, but because of how much money there is left on the table, I highly doubt he would do this. He's in good condition and is a relatively young heavyweight at just 36, so he could always get back to the top again. All in all, this was a great fight for boxing, and these types of fights are what boxing needs right now. The best fought the best, and the whole world watched it together. Hopefully we can continue having these great fights, and let me know in the comments what fights you guys are looking forward to.